Report of the Center-State Relations Inquiry Committee, Government of Tamil Nadu, 1971, read by Ramani, Chapter 12, Representation of States in Parliament. In all the four federations of the traditional type, namely United States of America, Canada, Switzerland, and Australia, in the lower house, the house corresponding to our House of the People, the federating units are represented with reference to their respective populations, with provision for periodic adjustment of the representation of the federating units with reference to the change in population. Except in Canada, the federating units are represented in the upper houses of the other federations on an equal basis. In Canada, the Senate is entirely a nominated body, and the Senator holds office for life. In the United States of America, the Senate is composed of 2 senators from each state, elected by the people thereof, and each senator has 1 vote. In Switzerland, the upper house, known as the Council of States, consists of 2 deputies appointed by each canton. It is interesting to note that the cantons determine the franchise, method of election, and duration of office of their deputies to the Council of States, subject to federal law. In Australia, the Senate is composed of senators for each state directly chosen by the people of the state. Each state elects 10 senators. It will thus appear that the normal principle followed in a federation is that the units of the federation are equally represented in the upper house, that's to say, every federating unit is represented by the same number of members. The provisions relating to the Council of States in our Constitution are based upon those relating to the upper house contained in the 1935 Constitution Act. The allocation of seats in the 4th schedule to the Constitution is solely on the basis of population of each state, as is the case with the House of the People. Granville Austin has referred to the view contained in the Nehru Report that the example of the United States Senate was not suitable to our country, quote, in view of the great difference in size and population, unquote, of the units, and to the recommendation in the report that in the upper house the number of members from the smaller provinces could be increased so that their relationship to the bigger provinces, quote, should not be wholly disproportionate, unquote. The learned author has also referred to the opinion expressed at the Round Table Conference. The Federal Structure Subcommittee is reported to have doubted if equal representation, quote, would commend itself to general public opinion, unquote. The reason for the rejection by the framers of a constitution of the principle of equal representation is given as follows by the author, quote, the Union Constitution Committee report offered no explanation for its rejection of equal representation, but we may surmise that the committee members agreed with the views expressed in the Nehru report and at the Round Table Conference. They may also have feared, as B.N. Rao did, that if they allowed equal representation for all the constituent units of the federation, the provinces would be swamped by the princely states. Page 158. The fixation of the number of representatives in the Council of States with reference to population is a feature peculiar to our Constitution, not found in other federations, and secures greater representation for the more populous states. Equal representation for the states in the upper house would make it more effective and provide for exercise of equal voting rights by all the constituent units, which will be in accord with the true federal concept. We have already referred to the arguments against equal representation of states in the Council of States set out in the Nehru Report and at the Round Table Conference. The Nehru Report did not favor the idea of equal representation on the ground that there was large difference in size and population of the federating units. The committee considers that it is for this very reason that equal representation is provided for in the upper houses of the other federations. The upper house in the other federations is considered to be the representative of the states. At the Round Table Conference, it was apprehended that public opinion may not accept the suggestion. Autonomy for the various units was first introduced in this country in 1937. With the attainment of independence in 1947, the units have gained in stature and functions, and the federal principle has been in operation ever since 1947. There is no reason to apprehend that there would be any opposition to the equal representation of the states in the upper house. Granville Austin has referred to the upper house being swamped by the then princely states. This ground has now disappeared. The idea, at any rate, needs examination in consultation with the other states. The naming of the upper house as the Council of States suggests that the states should have equal representation and equal voice in this chamber, but the rejection of this principle has raised, not unnaturally, apprehensions that the council of the less populous states might go unheeded and their needs disregarded in the formulation and execution of national plans and policies. It is desirable, now that the states have been reorganized, to limit the size of the upper house by giving the states equal representation, thus making it a more compact and effective and useful instrument in the shaping of policies. The Council of States does not also represent exclusively the federal principle, as the President nominates 12 members to represent literature, science, art, and social service. In our view, there should be no nominations to this body. Obviously, the Council of States, as its name implies, should have equal representation of all states. Whether it should be 2, as in the United States of America, or more, is another matter. There is hardly any justification to relate the number of seats to be allotted to a state to its population. The states are co-equals in all other fields, and there is little cause to differentiate among them in their representation in the council. Under the present dispensation, a small number of more populous states can swing the balance against the majority of states, hardly the democratic way of life. A smaller chamber would endow the council with greater dignity, and its revisionary powers could also be exercised with greater discretion and circumspection. In all federal constitutions, the lower house, corresponding to the House of the People in our country, consists of representatives of the people elected with reference to the population of the units. The constitutions provide for periodic adjustment of their representation with reference to the population figures. Same is the case in our country also, but the position has, however, changed with the implementation of family planning programs. Some states, including Tamil Nadu, have been in the forefront in the implementation of these programs. As a consequence, the number of representatives of these states in the lower house has been reduced. This is likely to impede the further implementation of the family planning programs. Some formula has, therefore, to be devised to offset the disadvantages accruing to states on this account. One suggestion which is worthy of consideration is that the number of seats fixed in 1951 should be fixed as the irreducible minimum. In other words, the number fixed in that year should remain unaltered. At the same time, the possibility of increase in population in some states cannot be ruled out. Where there is an increase in population, seats may be increased proportionately. But here again, the Constitution should fix a minimum beyond which there should be no further increase. We suggest that the representation of the states in the Lok Sabha may be fixed on the basis mentioned above.